Rideshare trips are supposed to be short and forgettable. You get in, you get out, and you move on. But some rides happen late at night with strangers who ask the wrong questions, take unfamiliar routes, or don't seem to be heading where the app says they are. In this video, you'll hear three scary horror stories involving Uber rides, moments that started like normal trip and slowly turned into something unsettling. If you enjoy horror stories like this, like the video and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel even more, super thanks are always appreciated.
I have been driving for a rideshare app for about 4 years. It pays the bills, and honestly, I usually enjoy the solitude of the night shifts. You meet all kinds of people. You get the drunks, the business travelers, the couples fighting in the back seat. You learn to tune them out. You just drive. But after last Tuesday, I do not think I can ever get back behind the wheel of a car with a stranger again. I have not turned the app on since, and I probably never will. It was around 2:15 in the morning. I was parked in a gas station lot, drinking a lukewarm coffee, when I got a ping. The pickup location was in one of those ultra-wealthy neighborhoods up in the hills, about 10 minutes away. You know the type. Big iron gates, long driveways, and hardly any streetlights because the rich value their privacy. The name on the app was Julian. Brown pulled up to the address. The house was completely dark. No porch lights, no landscape lighting, nothing in the windows. It looked like nobody had been home for weeks. I checked the address 3 times just to be sure. I was about to text the passenger when the side gate of the house creaked open. That guy walked out. He looked normal enough at first glance. He was wearing khakis, a polo shirt, maybe in his late 30s, but as he got closer to the headlights, I saw he was sweating. It was 50 degrees out, chilly enough that I had the heat on, and this guy's forehead was glistening. He was dragging this massive suitcase behind him. It was not one of those modern, hard-shell rolling ones. It was an old, black fabric one, and it looked incredibly heavy. He was struggling with it, straining his back with every step, dragging it across the gravel driveway. I popped the trunk and got out to help him. That is just instinct. You see someone struggling, you help. "Hey, let me give you a hand with that," I said, walking around the back of the car. He flinched violently, like he had not expected me to. "Speak no," he snapped, and he forced a smile. It was a tight, nervous expression that didn't reach his eyes. I mean, it is a fine, I got it, just back issues, I can handle it. He did not handle it. He hoisted the bag up, and as it hit the lip of my trunk, it made a sound I will never forget. It did not make the hollow thud of clothes or books or shoes. It was a wet, dense slap. It was dead weight. It shifted like a sack of water, and for a split second, I smelled something. It was faint, but distinct. Cooper, that rusty, metallic temps of fresh blood. He shoved it in, slammed the trunk shut with aggressive force, and was in the back seat before I could even process what my senses were telling me. "Airport," he said, staring straight ahead. "And can you hurry? I cannot miss this flight." I got in and started the car. My hands felt cold on the steering wheel. The tension in the vehicle was thick enough to choke on. He was tapping his foot rapidly against the floor mat, a frantic rhythm. Tap, dash, tap, dash, tap, dash, tap. He checked his watch every 30 seconds. I tried to make conversation to break the ice, or maybe just to reassure myself that I was being paranoid. "Heading out for business or pleasure?" I asked, glancing at his eyes in the rearview mirror. He did not look at me. "Business, urgent business." We merged onto the highway. It was desolate at this hour, just miles of black asphalt and trees. About 15 minutes into the ride, we hit a patch of silence, and that is when I heard it. It was faint, coming from the back of the car, from the trunk. I glanced at him. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" he said. He answered too quickly. I did not hear anything, just a road noise. I kept driving, telling myself maybe I hit a bump, maybe the suspension was acting up. But then it happened again. It was rhythmic, it was deliberate. It was not the road, it was coming from inside that black suitcase. My blood ran cold. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I knew what was in that bag. My mind started racing through every horror movie scenario. Did he unalive someone? Is it a dog? A child? A person? The smell, the wet sound, the weight. I looked at him in the mirror again. He was staring at me. Not out the window, but right at my eyes in the reflection. His face had changed. The nervous sweat was still there, but the anxiety was gone, replaced by a cold, predatory focus. He knew that I heard it. He was waiting to see what I would do. "Is there a problem, driver?" he asked. His voice was calm, terrifyingly calm. "No," I stammered, forcing my voice to work. "No problem. Just thought I had a flat tire for a second." "The tires are fine," he said softly. "Just drive. Don't stop." My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I needed to do something. I could not just drive him to the airport and help him unload a body. But if I stopped here, on this dark stretch of highway, I was dead. He would unalive me, stuff me in the trunk next to whoever was in there, and drive off. Well then, my phone mounted on the dashboard lit up. It was an Amber Alert, a bright orange banner across my GPS screen. "Missing Jessica Miller, age 24. Last seen 11 p.m. Suspect vehicle, white SUV. I drive a silver sedan." But the timing, 11 p.m. was 3 hours ago. The location was the same town we just left. "What is that?" Julian asked, leaning forward between the seats. "What is on the phone?" "Nothing," I said, my voice cracking. "Just a weather alert. Storm coming." "Turn it off," he commanded. "The light is bothering me." I reached out to dim the screen, and as I did, the car went over a pothole. It was a voice, a muffled, desperate cry from the trunk. There was no denying it this time. Someone was alive in there. Julian sighed, a long, disappointed sigh. He reached into his jacket pocket. I saw the glint of something silver in the rearview mirror. A knife, a hunting knife. "I really did not want to make a mess in your car," he whispered. I did not think. I just reacted. Survival instinct took over. I slammed on the brakes as hard as I physically could. We were doing 70 miles an hour. The car screeched, the tires smoking, and the vehicle fishtailed violently. Julian was not wearing a seatbelt. He went flying forward, slamming face first, into the partition between the front seats, then crumpled into the footwell. The car spun 180 degrees and came to a halt in the middle of the highway, facing the wrong way. I did not wait to see if he was conscious. I threw the door open and scrambled out, sprinting toward the median. I was fumbling for my phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers. I looked back at the car. The back door opened. Julian stumbled out. He was bleeding from his nose, looking dazed. He looked at me, standing 50 feet away in the darkness. Then he looked at the trunk, then back at me. He raised the knife, pointing it at me, his eyes wide with rage. But then, headlights appeared. In the distance, a semi-truck was barreling down the highway toward us. Julian saw it. He realized he was exposed. He shouted a curse, turned around, and sprinted into the woods on the side of the road, leaving his luggage behind. The police arrived 10 minutes. Later they opened the trunk. It was Jessica Miller. She was bound with duct tape, gagged, and stuffed into that suitcase in a fetal position. She was dehydrated and terrified, but she was alive. They never found Julian. And here's the kicker. The account named Julian was stolen. The phone he used was a burner. The house he came out of belonged to an elderly couple who were on vacation. In Florida, he had broken in, used it as a safe house to prep his victim. Police found traces of hair and blood in the basement. He had been there for days. I'd quit driving that night. I'd sold the car. But sometimes, when I am lying in bed, I hear a thump from downstairs. I know it is just the house settling, or the wind. But every single time, my heart stops, and I am back on that highway, wondering if the man with the heavy luggage is finally coming back to finish the ride.
You always hear the warnings. Check the license plate. Ask the driver, "Who are you here for?" Share your location with a friend. I know the drill. I have lived in the city for 5 years, and I thought I was street smart. I thought I was careful. But safety is a funny thing. You can follow 99% of the rules, but that 1% you skip, that is the one that gets you killed. This happened about 6 months ago, and I am still trying to put the pieces of my sanity back together. It was a Friday night, and I was leaving a bar downtown. My best friend, Julie, was getting married, so we had been out for her bachelorette party. By 1 a.m., I was done. I was not drunk, but I was socially exhausted. You know that feeling when your social battery is just completely drained? I just wanted to be in my sweatpants with a bag of chips. I pulled out my phone, opened the rideshare app, and requested a ride home. The app pings almost immediately. It said, Toyota Camry Silver. Driver, Michael. 4.9 stars. I stood on the curb, hugging my coat tight because it had started to pour. Rain. It was that cold, miserable rain that soaks you to the bone in seconds. About 2 minutes later, a silver Toyota Camry pulled up. I glanced at the license plate. The first 3 characters matched. K04. That was good enough for me. Cars were honking, people were shouting, and I just wanted to get out of the wet. I opened the back door and dove in. Sarah? The driver asked. Yeah, I said, breathless, shaking the water off my hair. Thank God you were close. It is freezing out there. No problem, he said. He was a large man, broad-shouldered. He was wearing a dark baseball cap pulled low, so I could not really see his eyes in the rearview mirror. He gave a little wave. Rough night? You have no idea, I sighed, buckling my seatbelt. The car was warm, which was nice, but it smelled. Strange, it was a thick chemical smell, like heavy-duty industrial cleaner mixed with an overpowering vanilla air freshener. It was almost suffocating, like he was trying to hide something rotten underneath. He pulled away from the curb smoothly, merging into traffic. So we are heading to Oak Street, right? Near the park? Yep, that is the one, I said. I leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. I was ready to zone out for the 20-minute drive. We drove for a while, making small talk. He asked normal questions at first. Did I live alone? Was I meeting a boyfriend? I gave vague answers, just automatic responses, but then the questions got specific. You take the bus usually, don't you? He asked. I opened my eyes. What? The bus, he said, his eyes meeting mine in the mirror. The 5:15 from downtown. I feel like I have seen you at that stop. Yeah, sometimes, I said, feeling a prickle of unease. Must have a familiar face. He did not respond. He just hummed a low tune. About 10 minutes into the ride, my phone buzzed in my hand. I figured it was Julie checking to make sure I got picked up. I looked down at the screen. It was a notification from the rideshare app. Your driver, Michael, is arriving in 2 minutes. I frowned. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of the words. That was impossible. I was in the car with Michael. We were halfway home. I tapped the app to open the map. The little car icon, representing Michael, was miles behind us, stuck at a red light near the bar I had just left. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. The air in the car suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, praying I was wrong. Sir, the app is glitching out. It says you are still picking me up. The driver did not answer. He kept his eyes on the road. We were approaching a major intersection where he needed to turn left to get to my neighborhood. Sir, I said louder, you need to turn here. He did not turn. He accelerated. He blew right through the intersection, speeding up as we passed. The turnoff. You missed the turn. I shouted, leaning forward. Oak Street is back there. He finally spoke. The friendly, customer service voice was gone. In its place was something flat, deep, and devoid of any humanity. I know where you live, Sarah. We are not going to Oak Street tonight. I froze. Terror is not like in the movies where you scream immediately. It paralyzes you. Who are you? I whispered. I am the guy who watches you eat your lunch on the bench by the fountain, he said calmly. I am the guy who knows you leave your window unlocked when it gets hot. You are very predictable, Sarah. I have been waiting for you to make a mistake. I lunged for the door handle. I yanked it, but nothing happened. I pulled the locked tab up, but it snapped back down instantly with a magnetic click. Child locks. I was trapped in a soundproof cage with a monster. "Let me out," I screamed, slamming my hand against the window. "Stop the car. Help." "Don't scream," he said. He sounded annoyed, like a parrot scolding a toddler. "It gives me a headache, and nobody can hear you anyway." Suddenly, my phone rang loud in the quiet cabin. The caller ID read, "Michael, Uber." I answered it, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. "Help. Help me. I am in the wrong car." "Sarah?" The voice on the other end was confused and concerned. "I am right outside the bar. I am looking for you." "Who are you with?" "I don't know." I was sobbing now, full-blown panic taking over. "He is driving a silver Camry. He has a hat. He is taking me to the industrial district." The kidnapper swerved the car violently. He reached back with a speed that was shocking, snatching the phone right out of my hand. He rolled down his window and threw my phone out onto the highway. I watched my only lifeline shatter on the asphalt behind us. "You talk too much," he hissed. "I told you to be quiet." He turned off the main road, heading down a dark ramp toward the old manufacturing zone by the river. It was a maze of abandoned warehouses, rusted shipping containers, and dead-end alleys. There were no streetlights here, no cameras, no witnesses. I knew I had one chance. We were slowing down as the road turned to gravel. He was confident. He thought I was just a scared girl in the back seat. He didn't know I was fighting for my life. I was wearing high heels, strappy, expensive heels with a sharp 3-inch, steel-reinforced stiletto. I unbuckled my shoe and slipped it off my foot. I gripped it like a dagger. "Please," I begged, trying to sound defeated. I needed him to lower his guard. "Just take my purse. I won't tell anyone. Please just let me go." "It is not about the money, Sarah," he said, pulling the car to a stop between two brick buildings. "It is about the company. I have been very lonely." He put the car in park. He unbuckled his seatbelt. As he turned his body to climb into the back seat, I saw his face clearly for the first time. He was smiling, a sick, excited smile. I lunged. I did not aim for his face. I aimed for the soft spot on the side of his neck. I brought the heel of my shoe down with every ounce of fear and adrenaline I possessed. The heel sank in. He let out a gurgling, wet scream. Blood sprayed out, hot and sticky, covering his hand as he clutched his throat. He fell forward, his chest hitting the steering wheel horn. Beep. The horn blared, a long, continuous scream into the night. I scrambled over the center console while he was thrashing. He grabbed my ankle with a bloody hand, his grip like iron. I kicked him in the face with my other foot, shattering his nose. He let go. I unlocked the driver's side door and tumbled out onto the wet gravel. I didn't look back. I didn't put my shoe back on. I ran in one sock and one bare foot. I ran until my chest felt like it was going to explode. I ran until I saw the fluorescent glow of a gas station highway sign. I burst into that station screaming. The attendant locked the doors and called 911. The police found the car an hour later. The guy was gone. He had managed to drive away. Or maybe he ran on foot. But they found the car abandoned in a ditch a few miles away. When they opened the trunk, the officers stopped talking to me. They got very quiet. Later, a detective told me why. In the trunk, they found a kit: duct tape, zip ties, bleach, and a bone saw. And they found a small metal box. Inside were 6 driver's licenses, all belonging to women, all with brown hair and green eyes, just like me. The silver Camry had been stolen 3 months prior. The owner, a woman named Emily, was the first ID in that box. He had been using her car to pick up victims hiding in plain sight. They never caught him. He is a ghost. I moved to a different state. I changed my hair color. I bought a car with the highest safety rating I could find. But I do not sleep well. Every time I stop at a red light, I check the back seat. Every time I see a silver Camry, my heart stops. He knows my face. He knows my name. And he knows I am the only one who got away.
I drive the graveyard shift. 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. You see the city change when the sun goes down. The commuters and tourists disappear, replaced by the night owls, the partiers, and the people who just don't want to be found. The city becomes a different animal. The shadows get longer, and the logic of the daytime world stops applying. I have been driving for 2 years, and I thought I had seen it all. But nothing prepares you for the ride I had last Friday. It was around 3 a.m., the dead hour. The bars were closed, and the streets were empty. I got a request on the app. The user was named Guest. That usually happens when someone books a ride for a friend, or they just created a burner account. I didn't think much of it. A fare is a fare. The pickup was at the Starlight Motel on the edge of town. It is a seedy place, the kind where people pay cash by the hour and nobody asks for ID. I pulled up to the office, the neon sign buzzing overhead. A guy came out of room 104. He was wearing a faded gray hoodie with the hood pulled up tight over his head. His hands were buried deep in his pockets. He opened the back door and slid in. He moved silently, like a shadow. "How is it going tonight?" I asked, looking in the rearview mirror. I couldn't see his face, just the dark hollow of the hood. Nothing. He didn't even nod. He just stared out the window at the passing streetlights. "All right then," I muttered to myself. "Quiet ride it is." I swiped to start the trip. The destination was weird. It wasn't a house, a hotel, or a bar. It was just a GPS pin dropped in the middle of nowhere. It was a location on an old dirt road about 20 miles out of town, deep in the farm country. The drive was agonizing. The silence in the car was heavy, oppressive. It felt like the air pressure had dropped. I kept glancing in the mirror, hoping he would move, check his phone, do anything normal, but he sat perfectly still. He didn't shift his weight. He didn't cough. It was like driving a mannequin. As we left the city limits and the streetlights faded away, the road got darker. Just my headlights cutting through the cornfields. "So," I said, my nerves getting the better of me, "visiting family out here?" He didn't answer immediately. Then, a voice came from the back seat. It was dry, raspy, like gravel grinding together. No, that was it. One word. When we finally reached the pin, there was nothing there. Just a gravel turnoff next to a massive field of dead corn. No farmhouse. No other cars. Just wind and darkness. "This is it?" I asked, turning around to look at him properly. "Yes," he whispered. He opened the door and stepped out into the gravel. The cold air rushed into the car, but he didn't close the door. He leaned back in, resting his pale hands on the doorframe. He lowered his head slightly, so I could almost see his chin. "You have a nice home, Tom," he said. "My name is Tom. It is on the app profile. Passengers know my name." But the way he said it, he didn't say, "Have a good night." He said, "You have a nice home," present tense, like he was stating a fact. Like he had an opinion on the layout. Thanks?" I stammered, confused. He slammed the door shut. He turned and walked straight into the cornfield, disappearing into the tall, dry stalks without looking back. I locked the doors immediately. I threw the car into drive and spun gravel getting out of there. I drove 80 miles an hour back to the city. My heart was pounding. I just wanted to be done. I turned off the app. I was going home. I live alone in a small bungalow on the north side. It is a quiet street. I pulled into my driveway around 4 a.m., exhausted and shaken. I grabbed my water bottle from the passenger seat and did what I always do. I reached into the back seat to check for lost items. People leave wallets, phones, trash. There was something on the seat where the guy in the gray hoodie had been sitting. It was a photograph, a Polaroid. I picked it up, frowning. It was a picture of a house. My house, taken from the street, looking right at my front door. My stomach churned. I flipped it over. In messy black marker, someone had written, 1 a.m. I started my shift at 9 p.m. This picture was taken tonight. While I was out driving, he had been at my house while I was working. Panic set in. I ran to my front door, fumbling with my keys. I unlocked it and threw the deadbolt behind me. I turned on every light. "Hello?" I shouted. "Is anyone here?" Silence. The house was exactly as I left it. The TV was off. My laptop was on the desk. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe he was a stalker who found my address. I walked into my bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, trying to slow my breathing. I looked at my nightstand. Right next to my alarm clock, there was another Polaroid. My blood turned to ice. My hand shook so violently, I could barely pick it up. It was a picture of me, sleeping in this bed. I looked at the timestamp written on the back, 8:30 p.m. That was 30 minutes before I woke up to start my shift tonight. I looked closer at the photo. It was taken from the foot of the bed. And in the corner of the frame, half hidden by the shadows of my open closet door, was a shoe, a gray sneaker. I dropped the photo. I remembered the passenger, the gray hoodie, the silence. He hadn't just found me on the app. He hadn't just stalked the house. He had been in the room. He had stood at the foot of my bed while I slept. He watched me wake up. He watched me get dressed. He watched me leave for work. And then, what? I looked up at the ceiling. In the hallway, there's a hatch that leads to the attic. It was slightly ajar, just a crack. I didn't check it. I am not a hero. I ran. I ran out of the house, got in my car, drove down the street, and called the police. They arrived 10 minutes later with guns drawn. They searched the house. In the attic, they found a nest, a sleeping bag made of old clothes, empty water bottles, wrappers, and a peephole. He had drilled a tiny hole through the drywall that looked directly down into my bathroom shower. They found a notebook, too. It was a log. He had been living in my attic for 2 weeks. He had written down everything. Tom eats dinner at 6 p.m. Tom showers at 8:15 p.m. Tom sleeps on his left side. He knew me better than I knew myself. The ride that night, the drop-off in the cornfield, he was moving out. He was done with me. He used me to drive him to his next location. I was his getaway driver from my own home. The police searched the cornfield, but they found nothing. Just tracks leading to a nearby highway. He is gone. I moved out the next day. I broke my lease. I live in a third-floor apartment now with high security, but I still can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see that gray hoodie. And I wonder, whose attic is he living in right now? Who is he watching tonight? And when he is done with them, will he ask for another ride? And that's all for tonight. Remember, the most terrifying monsters are the ones that look just like us. The ones who might even live right next door. If these stories serve as a good reminder to trust your instincts, then show your support and like and subscribe. Hitting that bell means you'll get a warning before the next nightmare begins. Sleep well, if you can.